Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Silky Crisp, and I played Valorant for the last 30 days as part of a challenge to go from a beginner to an immortal level player, which is the top 1% of the competitive player base. I come from a background of playing several thousand hours with FPS games, and I have over 1,000 hours in aim trainers like Aim Labs and Kovacs. But I'm brand new to the tactical FPS genre, which contains titles like CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege, and Valorant. So over the last 30 days, I've noticed that there are actually quite a few differences between other FPS games that I've played and Valorant, and I want to go through those in my experience trying to adapt to Valorant in this different play style. So the first thing I'll bring up is the movement in other shooters I've played is pretty straightforward. In games like Call of Duty or even Overwatch, you simply just want to press forward and maybe left or right to get into a good position, and then when you're fighting, that's when you're going to be strafing left and right. In Valorant, you want to avoid pressing forward as much as you can because you can instantly be in a gunfight that only lasts like half a second, and so you don't want your character to be moving in a straight line forward towards your enemy pretty much ever if you can help it. Obviously, you have to press forward while you play, but it kind of creates this movement style where you're almost traversing the map sideways rather than forward most of the time, which has been a big adjustment for me, and I don't feel totally comfortable yet. You want to have this like 90-degree angle type of movement with every corner that you're expecting an enemy to be at, and I'm still working through it. So that was like one of the biggest things that I noticed about this game that's different from what I'm used to. That brings up my next point, which is that one of my strong suits I feel with Apex Legends is moving while shooting at the same time. Valorant is just a different beast where you have to pause your movement and stop to shoot accurately. So when I first started playing, I would just come to a dead stop, start shooting, and not stop until they were dead, or I was dead because I missed. And through watching guides and practicing over the last 30 days, I've realized that movement plays a huge part in your gunfights. You only have these specific windows during your movement to shoot where you want to pause briefly. There's also this technique called dead zoning where you're basically immediately strafing back and forward, but you can shoot accurately for a brief second. This has been eye-opening for me actually, because whenever I thought about tactical FPS like CSGO, I just always thought it was lame that you couldn't move and shoot at the same time. So I thought, that you're lowering the skill gap because you can't shoot and move at the same time. Now, after playing this game for 30 days and getting owned repeatedly by quote-unquote low elo players, I realized that movement is absolutely crucial in this game, and there's a huge skill gap. And you actually need to use your movement almost more than your mouse to aim in these gunfights. And it was just kind of a big surprise to me, and I'm glad that this skill gap, this mechanical skill gap, is there because I feel like that's one of my strong suits as an FPS player. Is I'm pretty good mechanically, but I don't always play the smartest. So the next thing I'll bring up is that what you stare at is much different than other games. So in Apex Legends or Battle Royales, you're mostly like scanning a big area with your peripheral vision, looking for enemies, and then when you finally start fighting, that's when you're gonna stare like intensely at a few locations, and you only stare at your crosshair like while you're firing your gun for those brief 1 to 2 seconds, whatever it may be. In Valorant, it's like you have to stare at this one spot for 10-15 seconds at a time, and it's almost like a horror game where at any moment someone could just pop out of nowhere, and if I miss, if I blink, if I glance at my minimap, I could be dead in an instant. So you constantly have to be on high alert, staring at one specific spot, and that just feels different in my mind. Like the experience of the game just feels different. It's like a very narrow, intense focus for 10-15 seconds at a time. Whereas in Apex and in these other games, it's like I'm chilling, I'm looking around a lot, and then I'm finally gonna fight. Then I'm in this like intense staring battle, for a brief 30 seconds at most, maybe, but it feels different in my mind. So that also brings me to my next point, which is that how you use your minimap is actually quite a bit different than I'm used to. So in Call of Duty, I'm glancing at my minimap almost constantly to understand the position of my team and the enemies so I can move to a good spot and expect people to be somewhere. In Valorant, I have to make deliberate decisions on when I'm gonna look, because if I get caught even for a millisecond looking at my minimap when I should be staring at my crosshair, I could die, right? So you have to take these deliberate breaks to get behind cover, to look at your minimap, or only glance if you hear gunfights. You have to really kind of discipline yourself to only look at your minimap at certain times. And I'm still working on this, and I don't feel totally comfortable with it yet. But it just was something that I noticed that didn't come naturally for me, which with Call of Duty and these other games, it's like I'm looking at my minimap all the time, and it's not a big deal, you know? Overall, my impression of Valorant is that it is an incredibly deep and nuanced game. The thing that I like most about it is that getting kills is extremely satisfying. I think it's cool that the skins that you use on your gun actually change the sounds of the kills that you get and the animations that you get from getting those kills. I just think that's really cool, and I've watched some videos where the developers talk about maintaining the competitive integrity of these skins so that they're not pay to win like you sometimes get in Apex and other games. So the overall feel that I get from the game is one where I feel like when I'm booting it up and I'm about to queue ranked and the opening screens and everything involved, it just feels like I'm in this big grand tournament. And there's hundreds of thousands of us all trying to compete and get to the main stage. So I really enjoy the kind of feel of the competitive aspect that underlies the entire game. I don't know if everyone else feels that way, but I've definitely felt that way. So I've enjoyed this game a lot. I've been frustrated, definitely, overwhelmed. I don't like necessarily all the RNG sometimes that's involved, but I understand that that's what you're going to have when people die in a fraction of a second. But now, after playing this game for 30 days, I completely understand why people are addicted to this game and have been playing it for several years and still love playing it. I'm not going to talk about the things that I don't like. I think that there's enough content out there surrounding the negative aspects of video games, and I have a lot of respect for the designers and the software engineers that produce these games, because as an engineer myself, I realize that it's very difficult to solve even some of the simplest problems with software. And the fact that these guys are creating entire worlds out of 3D, you know, in very like intuitive and fun, addicting environments for us to put our brains in. I have a lot of respect for these people. So I'm not going to talk about the negative things. I'm also trying to actively help my mindset with the game, because I'm doing this challenge to go from a beginner to an immortal, and it's going to take hundreds of hours of me playing this game. And so I want to make sure that I'm developing a healthy relationship to the game so that I can keep positive emotions and thoughts flowing, so that I can stick to, what I want to accomplish. Because I think that something that has gotten in my way in the past has been to really look for the flaws in these games and be mad about, I can't change this and it's stupid, and I end up stopping playing. One example is Apex Legends. I tried to get Masters and Arenas, and I got really frustrated at the game because I felt like, there are flaws that I felt like were obvious that they should have fixed. But not going to go into that. I honestly I only have a few complaints there anyway. So I think overall, maybe a couple hundred hours in the future, I'll be more frustrated. But for now, I'm loving the game. Totally obsessed, and I can see myself playing this for easily 3 to 6 months without getting sick of it. Maybe even longer. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That's my impression of Valorant after 30 days. I'm now going to do a VOD review from my 4th week of playing to document my journey to improve. And thanks for sticking around this long. If you guys want to stick around for the VOD review, appreciate it, but no worries if you don't. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Okay, let's go over my stats and the last week of competitive games. All right, 38% win percentage. Not good, not good, not good, not good. Yeah. I went on a really long losing streak this last week. Seven losses in a row. So I went from like middle of gold to silver, and then I got back up to gold 1 after a few games. Kind of a low point mentally in here. I was like, man, I suck. I think this last week, another thing that was really playing into this was I was sleeping poorly, and I think I've figured out how to improve that. I may change my schedule a bit. I've been trying to play from 6 to 9 p.m. every night Valorant, but I may do like my mechanics training in the morning instead, and then play my games earlier in the day, like in the afternoon. So that may change, but I definitely have been sleeping better the past few days, so I think that's helped the show. overall, I have 85 hours in the game and 8 hours in the firing range. So that's 90 hours, 3 hours a day. Right on track with what I was hoping I would do, which is 3 hours a day. Deathmatch, I've got freaking 30 hours, I think. Yeah, 30 hours of deathmatch, 24 hours of competitive. And, I'm playing against gold players and sometimes plat. And if you think about it, above gold is the top 50% of the player base. So I'm playing against technically above average players, and I've only got 24 hours in the game. So it's just not enough for me personally to dominate these kids and show them who's boss. So I just need some more time, I think. I know a lot of people were expecting me to, I think, just like rise through the ranks like you would see in these Road to Immortal gameplays that people put out, but I haven't played the game very much. So this is an actual journey of improvement, which is going to take a long time. So I'm not too worried about it. I have a pretty consistent routine. I've been following Woohoojin's gold routine, which is 15 minutes in the range, 25 minutes of deathmatch, and then at least 2 ranked games a day. And I can hit all his benchmarks for gold, and it's consistently getting me to gold, Now, deathmatch, I feel like I'm pretty good. Now, I know that the matchmaking isn't perfect, but a lot of, I find myself in a lot of these types of lobbies where I'm playing against this is the last deathmatch I played. I just randomly picked this. But there's a Radiant player, pretty consistently. And then, okay, this is a game that I won right here. So I don't win that many, but when I do win, it's typically against gold players, and I pop off. So I think I'm pretty good at deathmatch. But it's mostly just wide swinging and then getting into clean 1v1 fights with low pressure. So competitive gunfights to me feel just different. There's shift walking. There's ways that you peek that need to change based on the situation. A lot of times I'm wide swinging into people, especially when I'm playing Reyna, and there's 3 people there, and I'm like, well, crap, now I got to shoot. So I'm panic shooting because there's 3 of them. I try to get one, and then I have to immediately dismiss. But like, I haven't put enough time in on Reyna either to like have that muscle memory with like the quick decision of whether you should heal or dismiss. So I feel like I'm okay in deathmatch. Ranked is different. Like my brain power is spent trying to figure out what to do and just process the game, all the abilities and where everyone is located. So I can't just think about the mechanics of the gunfight. I think with time, the comfortability, my brain will process the game faster and I can make quicker decisions. It just takes time, right? As far as roles go, although I would like to be a duelist, and I think that's what most people say is the role that has the most impact, is the easiest to climb with, it's most self-sufficient, best for solo queue, etc. I think I want to play Initiator. I like KO a lot. I know that he's a little bit of a hybrid agent, so he can kind of function like a duelist. I just love his kit. The knife, the scouting tool helps me a lot. I think what I lack in the most is by far game sense, and by having a little bit of extra information on where the enemies are, by also having a character that I need to pause and think and be like, okay, now I should probably flash here. That extra second or 2 that I use to think helps a lot. Whereas with Reyna, a lot of times I'm literally just wide swinging everything. And I understand that a lot of people just climb through raw mechanics that way, but there's definitely more to it than just wide swinging everything. So I'm figuring that out. All in all, though, I'm not worried about my rank. Like I said, it's just going to take time. And join the Discord if you guys want. I'm not going to do a VOD for this video. I tried to use Valorant Tracker's highlight tool to go through my deaths and kills, but it didn't really work out like I thought it would. So I think I may do VOD reviews in the next video. We'll see. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you. And peace out.